Good idea. Tanse.
The people.
Okay. This is a Standing Bear Network special interview. Tansenina Kanipawit Wapaskemikasimi Guanapio. Many blessings to all my relations in the four directions. I'm John Gonzalez, and this is Standing Bear Network, elevating Indigenous voices. And, certainly there's a lot of voices to be elevated all across Rhode Island, in the world. Here, right now, I am in Narragansett Territory, and I honor the people on whose territory I occupy and stand on this in this moment. I acknowledge the blood of the ancestors, and I acknowledge my sister, who I have with me now, Bella Noka, who is an elder in the Narragansett tribe. And we've known each other for a long time, and you've really been making a tremendous impact, not only in your community, but it's resonating. And if we can, maybe we can show a little bit of some of the work that you've done recently. But what can you tell us right now? What can you do? This is what I always say to people when I first open up a conversation: is what can you tell us about the land and what this place means to you as a people? And then maybe we'll get into some of the injustices that you have and are currently experiencing as a people. So Bella, could you introduce yourself so that maybe you could do it more appropriately than I just did?
Hi, my name is Bella Noka. I'm with the Narragansett Tribal Nation. I am a tribal elder. I am on the executive team for Native Green, a nonprofit. I also work in human trafficking, and I do a lot of work for Spirit, which I'm sure we all know about through assignments.
Yeah, terrific. And so I had the honor and privilege of working with you and Randy. It was a while back, and it was a piece on Narragansett sovereignty that people can refer back to. But I always feel so moved when I'm with you and we are near the ocean. There's something that happens, there's something that resonates. Can you explain that?
I don't think it's something that can go into words. It's more or less of a feeling. I am certain that our people out there know about. Spirit has a way of entering us with or without our consent. And in spirit, it sends us, if we're paying attention, memory of those who have came before us, those who are present, and our jobs for what we must do for those to come. These are called our assignments. And again, if we're paying attention, we feel, because we are a feeling people. Spirit will work through us. It will send what is necessary to complete those assignments. But if we're not paying attention, we feel that disruption throughout our soul, because that's who we are. So there is a lot of work to be done. When I am by the ocean, it's not what I could tell you about the ocean, but more what the ocean can tell you about us as a people. The ocean gives and it bears all things. It provides all things we need to nourish our body. It cleanses our souls and our spirits. It does so much for the people that as Grandfather Ocean, we host a lot of ceremonies by the ocean. It's the provider of all. Even in war, when we were out, and I don't want to call it war so much as in the massacres that took place, but even during that time when you went out, you had to look on the four sides, the north, south, east, and west. But when your back was up against the ocean, the only thing that you ever had to worry about was the three. So many times we would camp out by the ocean because Grandfather Ocean always had our back.
Right. Now, maybe just to give the people a little bit of a history, like my people, the Pimicikamek people, the Narragansetts have existed since time immemorial, and they've gone through a series of termination and extermination efforts. One thing I talked about with Russ Dibo is the fact that, the United States, tended to handle things, with the military and with the cavalry and stuff. Whereas up north, it was more of like a paper genocide. But so the Narragansetts, they didn't receive federal recognition until I guess it was 1983. And I've seen a lot of similarities between what goes on here in the United States and what goes on in Canada. And there really are these termination policies that are in effect that serve to undermine who we are as people, and all those rights that are disclosed, that the original signatories disclosed in the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous People. And but what we see are human rights violations occurring everywhere. We did a segment with the smoke shop raid, right, which was 2003, and 50 some odd state troopers came in.
2004,
2004. Okay.
I believe.
Okay, I might have a wrong note, but so yeah, I mean, it was a terrible thing. I remember people being drugged off, and you were among them, and Randy and others. I don't know. I think Domingo might have been there, but it was a terrible thing to see. That type of violence inflicted on what essentially is. It's like what they're trying to do in Canada. It's called termination by municipalization, which is, trying to assimilate Indigenous people into the body politic of their local, state, and federal governments. And, essentially, turn them into fourth level ethnic municipalities. And this is what's happening in Canada. But I see this as like a real struggle. Here in the States, I mean, this is all Turtle Island, and they may have followed different policies by way of Britain and the colonies, but the termination plan has been in effect for a long time. So you've been at the State House recently. What can you tell us about your journey to the State House?
It's always interesting when you go to the State House, right?
Yeah.
I wanted to first respond, before I respond to seeking recognition, because it was never important that we sought recognition from the colonizers. The important thing is that our people know us and we know them, and we can identify with each other. The colonizers' thoughts were never of our interest. Their ways were never of our interest. We practice the good way. So here today, you see them trying to practice our ways because their ways have failed them. Continue to practice your way because it is the good way. Yeah. I want to go back now to your answer your question about the Secretary of the State, in which one of the videos that I shared with you, she had shared with Twitter and all over social media, something that they normally do when they're trying to shape a narrative. And the narrative was to enter the minds of the people that we gave up our land freely, that we sold our land, or we signed off our lands to the colonizers. That was never, ever a concept of ours. That was their concept, their way of holding Mother Earth as a commodity. She can never be, we never seen her as being sold or raped or owned in any way. She was beauty, she was the provider, she was greatness, and we were to protect her and give back to her because she would always provide. With that being said, there was a conversation with Native Green with her office that I had, asked for. She immediately responded. And with that, in a conversation, I let her know that our oral history is just as great as their documented history, if not more so, because there's no reason for us to lie, but every reason for them to share mistruths with the people. They have to protect the lies that they told. They have to protect the things that they've done. They have to make excuses for the atrocities that took place. And now their children are watching. And they are no longer the source of information. You know, back in the day, you can just go home and the smartest person in your family that was well-traveled is that person that you listen to. Well, with today's technology, we are able to have these platforms and we are able to reach people at warp speed.
That's right.
And we are able now to share our stories and let that be told. Yeah. So she apologized and she made a video. The language was drafted by Native Green and she spoke it. She agreed to the language and she was very respectful in that it's the first time in the history of Rhode Island where any politician has ever apologized for a wrongdoing. They don't do that. Yeah. They never apologized for the smoke shop raid where they threw down dignitaries, our chief sachem. They never apologized that they threw down women, children.
Terrible.
During this time.
Yeah.
So
that was before Standing Rock. Yeah.
Right. They went in with over 50 plus of Rhode Island's finest, they will call it, heavily armed. They had guns, batons, stun guns, mace, everything. And they had a SWAT team for cigarettes because we wanted economic development as a sovereign nation to take care of our elders, to take care of our children, to be that sovereign people that we are. And they wouldn't allow that.
Hey, I have a great idea. Well, how about if I show that? I'll show that to the people right now. I'm just going to hold it up on my my phone, and then you give a little commentary, after it's done, because I watched this and it's very, very moving.
Sure.
And then you guys can go. I will put the link there, and then you guys can go to it. But let's see. Let's see if this works.
Oh, that's the video for us speaking. That's not the smoke shop raid.
We crossing the Tampawag. Hello, friends. Recently, the Rhode Island Department of State created a video showing documents held in the state archives representing alleged agreements between Narragansett tribal leaders and the colonizers. These alleged agreements have been used for centuries to perpetuate and justify a heinous wrong that was done to the Narragansett tribal nation. They reflect the colonizers' perspective for their benefit. This video represents our perspective. At the root of these deceptive documents is a lack of understanding of how we view Mother Earth. Mother Earth and Grandfather Ocean are sacred to us. The selling and buying of land was a colonizer concept. This was not our way. Our land is sacred to us. We were given an inherent responsibility to protect Mother Earth, not to abuse her, not to trade her, not to sell her, not to make a commodity out of her. This may be difficult to understand in a Western culture that views land as property that can be owned, but that is not our way. The archival documents with alleged indigenous markings of bows and arrows as supposed signatures represent deception and greed. Why is there greater value placed on these written documents than with centuries of tribal oral history passed down for generations? The Secretary of the State's video accurately stated that our people couldn't read or write English. Therefore, they couldn't be expected to approve these foreigners' documents, even with possible translation attempts. How can anyone accept a debaucherous colonizer's account? Colonizers who acted with deception and malice, deliberately spreading deadly illnesses and pillaging indigenous villages with guns and cannons as a means of genocide. Those same types of cannons that are on display at the welcoming entrance of the Rhode Island State House. The blatant land theft and the ongoing systematic separation of our people from the land is one of the most devastating and destructive aggressions of colonization. Take away our land and ancestral territory, and you strip entire humanity from its balance. The Narragansett people once traveled freely throughout their territory, which is now known as Southern New England. Today, we are confined to 1,900 acres with no access to Grandfather Ocean or to our sacred ceremonial places of worship. These deceptions aren't just a thing of the past. They continue today as part of the ongoing genocidal erasure of our people, sometimes clearly in the light of day, but sometimes more subtly in decisions made behind closed doors under the veil of public policy. Think about this as you go through your daily life. As you walk on our sacred land, reflect more deeply about the greatness of Mother Earth, about developing a connection to spirit through land and water, and about developing a better understanding of our culture and traditions. To Botany, thank you.
Wow. That was powerful.
And that is placed on the Secretary of the State's webpage.
What kind of responses have you got from that?
Well, I had a lot of positive responses, but I got a couple of hate mails sent directly to my home.
Really?
Which was very concerning because, you know, there was nothing threatening in it, like physically, but the fact that you took the time to look me up and to send it to my home where my grandchildren and my son comes to rest his head, you know, is troublesome.
Right. So let's talk a little bit more about the injustices that Narragansett, that the Narragansett community is experiencing. You know, in the light of all that's been promised and all that you're experiencing right now, the limitations on your programs and services, and of course we remember when the housing was denied the elders, and many elders just, you know, they died and they never got to see that housing, you know, because the federal government, the Department of Interior, would not put that land into trust. What's happening now, Bella?
Well, we still have the 1978 compact that stands in our way. Okay, it's a compact that was done out of the states. There were a lot of houses, non-tribal houses, that had deeds that were in question. So they did this compact, and it was pretty much, I would like to say, under duress, without the tribal body being notified, that's our way, right? We speak to the body, we inform them on everything, and then we are allowed. See, the chief has a position, but the chief himself and council listen to the people. And that is how we handle things. But this was not the normal process. And it's like we're half pregnant, if you ever heard of such a thing. There is no such thing. We're following two sets of laws. We got to follow federal law, but yet the state comes in and imposes their laws on us. And then they hold us up in court. Housing, one, let me give you that example. We had, I believe, 24 housing units set up for our elderly, one of which was my mom that would be moving into this housing.
Right.
The state of Rhode Island, well, the town of Charlestown held us up in court with the state of Rhode Island and used the 1978 compact to stop us from completing that project. We had elders that were found frozen, an elder that was found frozen, another in the middle of the winter who would have been in that housing had we had it, finish our project. Another who was found with a broken hip on the floor, and my mom who never got to see it come to fruition. So to this day, the state of Rhode Island has this 1978 compact that holds us by the throat. It's on our neck. I just put in for legislation to have it removed. We will see how that goes. It was given to Representative Henrys. So her name is Brianna Henrys. So if anybody has any power, anybody that they know up at the State House, or could just simply give a call in support of that, to be taken away, withdrawn, the 1978 compact, we would greatly appreciate it. You don't realize how much you can do. It's just a phone call, but if you are able to make that phone call, you have done enough for us, and we would appreciate it.
Right.
There's a lot of things going on. Another would be Grandfather Ocean, our ceremonial lands. This is, we all know that Grandfather Ocean is spiritually everything to us. It's as though we're telling a non-tribal person that they can't go to their place of worship, whatever that may be, whatever it looks like. And when we go, we have no direct access to it. You have to pay to get on the beach, to park. You have to pay to get on the beach. When you are on the beach, you are in ceremony, and you have a lot of people coming up to you, disrupting that ceremony, asking you, what is it that you're doing? Do you know that you're not supposed to be lighting fires here? So we can't perform and be at peace doing what is traditionally our way without disturbance. We need our land, our ocean front and access to Grandfather Ocean that is in our hands, so that we can continue our way, the only way we know.
Right. Well, I just came across the old a film that we did. I don't even know what year it was now, but I thought I'd show people this clip really quick, and maybe you could comment on it. It's talking about a lot of what we've already covered.
tribal name is Paponi Maquasho. That's Winter Wolf, member of the Narragansett tribe. The Aboriginal indigenous people of southern New England, certainly the Rhode Island area.
Maquasho, traditionally. Juridically, Wayne Everett, member of the Narragansett Indian tribe, the only federally recognized Indian tribe in the state of Rhode Island.
I look at this ocean here right now, grandfather ocean, and I give ceremony and prayer to the ocean. The ocean has always been a great provider to our people and has sustained us for forever. And it will always be what we believe in and what we go to in ceremony and prayer. You have your churches, you have your mosques, you have your temples, and that is your belief, and that's the place that you go to pray. Well, this is where we go to pray. This is where we meet Grandfather Ocean, and our prayers are carried on the winds straight to the Creator.
What is now Rhode Island, and then southern New England, it's Narragansett land, it's Narragansett Territory. People don't recognize this. We're in the town of Narragansett, named after my people. You know, what our stomping grounds, where the ancestors used to hunt and fish and survive. Now you're looking on the other side of the camera, not view, is houses, $1 million houses, where our people used to have encampments and how they survived, come down to the shore and harvest for themselves. And now it's $1 million houses. We don't even have rights to the ocean where we had our ceremonies. We've been fighting for that for a while now.
And we are here to defend our sovereignty. We are here to have it be recognized, defend it, and protect it.
Not that long ago, 15 years ago, the smoke shop raid on our reservation. 51 state troopers, came in just like the militia did to the Great Swamp Massacre. Yeah, maybe they didn't kill us, but they had every intent to harm us. Over what? Cigarettes and taxes? State of Rhode Island not getting taxes out of it? We learned, seven of us got arrested, thrown to the ground that day. And we learned years later when we had to go to court in a Rhode Island court for defending our territory, defending our rights. We had to go to court, and we found out that during the trial, our lawyer, one of our lawyers, asked one of the troopers on the witness stand, have you ever used that use of force before? It was the history of the state police. And he said, yeah, when we raided the Hells Angels drug house. No, there's no reason why they had to come in that day over arguing whether we should be selling cigarettes or not. You come in with 51 state troopers? No? Why? Because the brown skin Narragansetts? No, we've heard of others doing the same thing, and they were issued a warrant. A sheriff who issued a warrant for doing the same thing that you needed 51 state troopers. Why? Because you wanted to thump a few Indians. Back in the early 70s, the 80s into the 90s, we had a housing project. The land's not in trust with the federal government, like the 1,900 acres, but 32-acre housing site. We were building houses for our elders and low-income people. A HUD housing project. It was a several $million project, and we built some houses. And looking forward to our members that wouldn't have a house otherwise moving into those houses. But the town of Charlestown fought that project, in part because they were so concerned we were going to put a casino up on a 32-acre housing site, that they fought our efforts to put it in trust with the federal government and therein oversee it more, have the governing authority over that site. No, we don't want the land to go into trust. And they work with then Governor Kacheri, who, by the way, also ordered the smoke shop raid, Governor Kacheri, a former governor, but they fought the efforts to put it in trust. So we had a housing project that failed because of the town of Charlestown.
Many blessings, you guys.
Whoa.
Thanks for having me here today. Wow. I haven't watched that in a little while.
It's very hard watching my children being thrown to the ground. My husband, myself, by, my tribal leaders, my medicine man, my chief, by state troopers for doing absolutely nothing but your God-given right, their God-given right.
Right.
As they say, it's amazing because here today, the governor's brother, well, she's no longer governor here. She's working under the Biden administration, but the old governor, they're selling marijuana. They have dispensaries, and the only ones who can afford to get into the game of a dispensary are the wealthy. You got to come up with $20,000, I believe, to get into the lottery, and then you got to give at least 50 to, I believe it's $500,000 a year back to them. So it keeps a margin of people out of that lottery, right? It keeps the people, the indigenous people who the medicine people exercise that right, use that right, use that medicine. Why do I have to pay for my usage of medicine that is, originally made for me, right? But these are the oppressive ways. They could take, Rhode Island's name was Rhode Island and Providence Plantations. They just recently took out the name plantation after George Floyd passed away, and there was a large cry for it. However, it does not matter if you do something so cosmetic, if you still have laws in place to oppress the people. And they have so many laws. From my understanding, the Narragansetts were the most oppressed tribe in the history of this Turtle Island. So we are, when the colonizers came here, we were the people, the Wampanoags and Narragansetts were the people that they came in contact with, early contact. We fought to defend, and it was never a fair fight because we're fighting with, as they would say, bows and arrows, and they're fighting with cannons and rifles, and they have strategies against you because our spirits are not mean, are not created to have these evil ways to take down any form of people. If we believe that there was spirit in a rock, in a stone, and I think many of you can understand where I'm coming from. I don't think there's a place that we go to where we don't find an attractive stone and walk away with 20 or 30 of them, especially on the beach. So
Yeah.
we see life within, in beauty within that stone. Why wouldn't we see it in another person?
Right.
It was not our way. So they speak of, well, we fought each other before they even got here. No, we fought to keep peace. Like, there were markers, there were territories that we had respect. There was tribal protocol. There was a respect that was given, that you did not cross certain things, because we had to feed our community. We had to take care of them. But if you were intruding on that space, then you had to be dealt with. But you did not just go out and kill a people because you wanted their space. So they didn't get it twisted. They twisted it to their benefit, to shape a narrative.
Right.
And everything that you have learned from them about your very own people. And this is what bothers me about tribal people. Some of my very own, is that you use their maps, their language, their ways, and their historic truths, their historic truths. There are lies that have been told so long that people believe they're the truth, just like Columbus discovering America.
Right.
That was told for a very long time. There have been parades in his honor, a day in his honor, to learn, unfortunately, especially for the Italian people, because, it was unfair to them. They
Mhm.
were believing that this man was a great man and come from the same culture and tradition as they did, that they
Right.
would celebrate him. And it made it into a beautiful day where you would go with your grandmother, your aunts and uncles, and you celebrated that day. It wasn't so much about Columbus, but it was about being together
Right.
and like a family reunion. And now it's being all pulled back away from them and being told that it was all a lie. How does a person who is told all this stop loving that day that has so many memories filled with their grandmothers and their aunts and stuff gathering?
Right.
No, it creates anger and animosity toward another people, because now they believe that the natives have stripped them from this day. We never stripped you from this day. The truth stripped you from this day. And because those colonizers told you a dirty lie that lasted so long, we cannot apologize for a lie.
Right.
So the separation and the division is something that they live and breathe off of. And it's not our way, and it cannot become our way. So I ask our people, do not follow their way. Do not follow their maps. Decode everything that they taught you. And go back to your organic self. Remember who we are as a people, and don't lose sight of that. Not for a dollar, not for a position, not for a grant opportunity. Do not sell our people. We are watching, they are watching us. They are giving us these assignments to do, and they are entrusting us to do them for the survival of our people and for the many generations to come.
Yeah. I see the struggle going on all across Turtle Island. Let me just say quickly for those, who are just getting on board, and we do have people with questions. I'm with Bella Noka, who's an elder in the Narragansett tribal community. And she's been standing up for her people for a long time. And she's seen a lot of egregious human rights violations among her own people, including but not limited to the Narragansett's smoke shop raid, where the people were brutalized. We just showed some footage of that earlier. The housing crisis, where you have a third level municipality intervening and saying, no, we're not going to let you, we're not going to let you do this. I know it was the state, and then I think there were 23 other states that came and said, yeah, we don't want to see that land taken into trust by the Department of Interior. Because that's what it would have taken, but, and many elders, they came and went, and they never got to see that housing, and it breaks hearts, because Indigenous people, we're always the most impoverished, the ones that are always scarcity driven, because that's what these bans and council systems are designed to do. They are designed to manage the poverty of our people, and it can cause, devastating effects, in the sense that it will polarize communities who are trying desperately right now to incorporate and to understand and to define what their self-determination plan would be, for their own community. And that's what I see you doing for your community, much like I see, what Thomas is doing in Pimicikamak Territory, Kanahus 9-year-old in Suquamish Territory. So it's an honor to share space with you. I mean, I've lived in Narragansett Territory more than any place in my life. And I have so much, respect for you and Randy and Domingo and so many wonderful people that I've connected with, and who are really, just representing their people in a good way. Can you tell us more about what the grassroots Narragansett community self-determination plan might look like? Maybe.
I really can't speak on that right now. Perhaps my husband can, or the tribal chief. I do
You could say
follow.
we're working on it. So many communities, we're just
Right.
working on it,
This is just what we do, right? I follow tribal protocol. There is a respect that is given in position. I honor my those before me, and those, of course, to come. I listen to our youth as well as the elders. Me being an elder today, I find it really hard because I witnessed over COVID so many of our elders pass. It was hard to witness day after day. It seemed like I'm hearing a new one passing, and everyone that I looked up to is now gone.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, it's sad. And I know, we've lost quite a few people, in this area. Of course, I mean, I grieve with everybody, with my Wampanoag family and my Narragansett family, and we've lost a lot of people in Pimicikamak too. And it's hard. It's hard, especially when we're living in this COVID moment, and it could be difficult even to stand up for our land and our water and our rights, and but people are doing it in little ways all across this country, in the world, and it's exciting to see. It's exciting to be a part of that. And is there anything maybe you could tell us, maybe some bright news or things about the kids in your community, or I don't know, Narragansett, programs that are in place that are making a positive impact?
Well, we may not be the richest people out here, but we are the wealthiest in spirit and in all the things that truly matter, right? So we have a great sense of community. I know that, I get wound up if a tribal member or a tribal leader is not doing right. Well, I will stand up to that tribal leader, tribal person, and make things right. And we have had, people need to understand that we are not an organization. We are a family, and it's a large family, and we're all connected, right? So it's like having a lot of sisters, brothers, aunts, and uncles, and sometimes there's agreements and sometimes there's not. And the structure of the families, you know, you have the large families in the tribes, and I don't want to say they have the bigger voice, but, you know, collectively together, we stand up and make decisions for the betterment of all of us. Lately, we haven't had many tribal meetings due to the COVID.
Right.
And we try to get on board with the Zoom calls, and that doesn't seem to work for our tribal elders and for
Oh,
those who are not tech savvy. So we can't leave out the voices of anyone. Every voice matters in our tribe. So if you aren't that person that likes to speak up or speak into the mic, and you don't feel as though that's you, well, we're not all made the same, but you can be that voice for that person who can't. So I love my people. I love our people. I believe that there's something very special about us. It's not just because we are the first people of this land and that we were chosen to be the first people of this land. There's just something that is in us where I can walk anywhere, or be anywhere in any state, any place foreign to me, and I can identify my people. You know, I can look in their eyes and I could see who they are, and they could see me. There's something that, again, spirit has a way of presenting us in a special light, so bright that I don't think that people hate us. It's just that people envy what it is in us. They envy that light that comes from us. And I believe that we can't weigh ourselves on material things, but if we weighed ourselves on the things that truly matter to spirit, to the creator, then we are the wealthiest people in the world. We know how to make it happen, right? We are rich beyond compare, and nothing can ever truly break us. We have survived it all. Our ancestors have gotten us here to where we are today. And with everything that they have gone through, this right here is a splinter for us. We deal with it and we start plowing away for a better tomorrow for our children to come. And that is our responsibility. We don't hold our heads down. Our chin is always up and our chest is always out, even in our worst days. We are a proud people. We come from proud people. They never broke our people. We are here. And this is who we are.
oh.
Uh-huh.
Bella, can you tell me who that handsome young warrior is in your backdrop? Who?
That is my son. I'm sure many of you have seen him on the powwow trail. Yeah, he's a great dancer, good spirit.
They get
Very
big
proud of
chest.
him. He was a part of the smoke shop raid, where when the police threw his dad to the ground, and then when they threw me to the ground, he didn't like that much. So he just reached in to help me, and the police grabbed him and threw him to the ground. And in court, I had to sit there and watch the video of them taking him, and the police officer that had him in handcuffs in his hands and swept him off his feet and crushed his face into the stones. And they would play it over and over because they were hoping for a response out of me. And I just knew that I had to perch myself high up in a tree spiritually and watch them watching me, because they cannot capture me.
Bella, what does the impact of that kind of trauma have on a young, developing person? And not just on that community, not just on the child, but the community. But, you know, I mean, focusing on our children.
My children are very different. I have a daughter who was present there. She was 15. He was 14. And then I had a 6-month-old baby. No, yeah, 6-month-old baby in daycare. And I would say that my daughter, she couldn't sleep for a very long time. She was she became nocturnal.
Right.
She would not sleep at night for a long time and had to have all the lights on. I had my son who was angry. He was hurt. He was angry because of what, we taught them to respect everyone.
Right.
And if anything ever happened, these are the people that you go to. You go to, the medicine man, you go to the chief, you go to the tribal police, you go, if all fails, and the town police mess with you, perhaps the state troopers would be a little more decent. Everyone that I told them to go to, that they crushed everything. But my son, my daughter were raised by strong Narragansetts, and that we let them know that feeling that they felt will pass, and what they are responsible for doing in the future. We let them know that their responsibility is to uphold our rights, to take the ugliness that they feel inside of them and release it, because that ugliness does not belong to them. It belongs with another man. So do not own what is not yours. They know how to release, and spiritually. We had my daughter my son went to the Tribal Police Academy within a month of the raid. My daughter had gone up to Denver for a Native American Fish and Wildlife conference. And the people there were very well aware, because it went national what took place here.
Right.
And they took very good care of them.
Mhm.
And I thank them, because in my spirit, it needed some healing itself. But those who love us and who we love and understood, when they had my children in their care, they took care of them as though they were their own. And that's what we do. We take care of all of the children as though they are our very own.
Right.
There's no step children. There's no half children. They are our children. We don't separate and divide. They feel that when you say my stepchild. They feel that when you say my half child. How do you divvy up a child? They are whole, and they are ours.
Yeah, people don't realize that Indian registration is part of federal Indian recognition, is part of the paper genocide. And, it's, for those of you who are just tuning in, I'm with Bella Noka, and she's an elder in the Narragansett tribal community. And I've had the honor and privilege to work, not just with you, but with others and we talked about things like sovereignty, and it was good to, and it's always good to hear Randy speak at a lot of the meetings, when there's meetings going on, and some type of resource extraction is going to occur, like what happened with the remember when Invenergy came and proposed its $1 billion frac gas power plant, and then they wanted to get water from the Narragansett reservation, I think. I mean, it was what was it? It was like the Hopkinton Aquifer or something. I forget what it was called. But yeah, they tried to get the water from there to cool the turbines of their dirty frac gas power plant. But Randy was there. A lot of Narragansett people stood up, and it's a beautiful thing to sit back and see, like, the grassroots efforts happening. And young people came out. Young people came out all over, holding up signs. I remember I was there doing a little filming. But it's encouraging. I think something's happening all across Turtle Island. I think there's a message that's resonating. I think people are coming, to a higher level or heightened level of awareness in terms of their indigeneity and what decolonization means. And certainly you've done your part.
I know I've been active for a very long time.
Yeah.
But at one point in time, I have to take all of what I have learned, and I have to sit down and I have to share it with my tribal young adults, the youth. It doesn't belong to me. It's not mine. I have to take my position and move to the side and watch them step up to be a part of that assignment that we have been given. So I know, and I am so appreciative of this generation. I have so much love for them.
Yeah.
I am inspired by them. Sometimes, you always hear the elder, they're the teachers, and they're the ones that you need to give the respect to. I give all the respect to these young adults.
Yeah.
And I don't expect any special privileges or respect. I earn it. I pray in my walk, in my talk, in my actions, in doing what's right, not just for my tribe, but for all tribes, because what affects one will affect us all. When you do yourself dirty, it will dirty everything. So it's imperative that when we go out there and we speak and we represent Indian country, as they say, that we do it in a good light that's representative of all. That makes a good leader, not just looking out for self. That is not our way.
Right.
We pave the path for all. So again, this generation of young adults, you are right here. I'm ready to step to the side. I need that break anyway, so hurry up and do your magic.
Yeah.
Get on the assignment. And if you ever need me, I am there. I will make myself available. I am accessible. I will make myself accessible. Nobody is too big to listen.
Well, thank you, Bella. And thank you, everybody who's been watching. Again, this is Bella Noka, Narragansett elder, and longtime friend. And I've known Randy even longer, like a long time. Thank you for gracing us with your presence. For those of you viewing, please be sure to share this out to your groups. Standing Bear Network is about elevating Indigenous voices and coming up with grassroots level solutions and understandings for what's happening in the communities around us. So many blessings. Tansi Nintunamak, and we will talk to you soon. Thank you.
Tabani.
Thank you, Bella. Oh.
Aho.